I'm happy. I'm happy for literally the first time ever where I can truly be who I want to be. I can, talk openly, authentically, but also now with change and things, hopefully I can educate myself, I can form myself, learn a lot, and then pass it on. And that's what's really important.
My special guest today is Dame Kelly Holmes, who made Olympic history when she brought home double gold from Athens in 2004, winning both the 800 and 1500 metres. Since then, she's opened up about many of the challenges she's overcome along the way, from injury to mental health problems. And last year, aged 52, she came out as a gay woman as part of her mesmerising documentary, Being Me. Now, she has another aim in mind. She's calling on the nation to spend 5 extra minutes per day focusing on their well-being. Dame Kelly joins me now. Well, Dame Kelly, you are the perfect mentor, personal trainer for the nation, dare I say, and you are currently working with health think tank Nuffield Trust, calling on the nation to spend 5 extra minutes per day focusing on their mental and physical well-being. What possible difference can 5 extra minutes really make? I mean, it sounds just about the right amount of time to me, but isn't it cutting it a bit short?
I think what it is, it's about how can you give yourself those 5 extra minutes in the day to really think about your well-being from a physical and a mental point of view. So we all know that there's pros and cons to most things, and the biggest thing is that the correlation between your mental and your physical well-being is so entwined. So let's say example, I obviously known to keep fit and active and healthy to a certain degree, but at the end of the day, I'm human. So some days I go through really difficult times of motivating myself and I feel stressed and overwhelmed. And I probably won't bother going in the gym or doing something because I just feel like, oh, I've got no energy and I can't be bothered. And then I think to myself, yeah, but that's what makes me feel better. You know what I mean? Me moving my body, just getting up and going out. So when you're saying about 5 minutes, firstly, sometimes it can just be about educating yourself. Can you go online and find out about what activity you can do that's cheap and accessible, like we did in lockdown? I mean, how many people changed their habits in lockdown to walk a little bit more, to go,
And
I don't know.
I was funny enough, I was talking about that earlier today. Are you surprised at how we seem to have slumped back into old habits after that sort of burst of general sort of embrace of exercise and basically physical health during the pandemic that people embarked on?
Oh, for sure. I mean, when NAFLD were doing the Healthier Nation Index, they were doing a survey and they're saying like 1 in 3 people are saying that over the last 12 months, their mental and physical health has got worse. And also, the cost of living crisis, of course, has impacted on that as well. So people who maybe got all their equipment through lockdown and went out and it was all accessible and you had time, actually maybe didn't cost much. Now people think, right, I go back to the gym. Now, gym costs a lot of money, doesn't it? And also, if you think about foods, we always say about eating healthier, but healthy food, I mean, costs more. So
Mm.
it's like, what can you do to make those small changes? So for example, a lot of it's mindset, and when you get out of a routine, you kind of get worse and worse, and when you get into a routine, it becomes a little bit more of a habit and consistency, and that 5 minutes turns to 10, and then you think, "Well, if I'm out already, I might as well stay out," and it goes to 30, but little things is, can you I don't know, let's just say people go to work on a bus, so some people go to work on a bus, get off the stop before. A lot of people I know that are in these big kind of, industry sort of buildings, use a lift, yet you wait for 3 minutes for the lift. You could have gone up the stairs, up and down the stairs, so it's conscious decisions to change,
Well,
swapping 5 unhealthy things for some healthier things.
I'm hoping to get a gold medal from you for my behaviour today, because just
Mhm,
but completely coincidentally, I think I'm a good example of what you're talking about. Just today, dare I say, not
mhm.
normally, but this morning someone was supposed to send a car to pick me up to take me to this meeting, and I phoned up and cancelled the car because it was such a nice day, and I thought I'll just walk through the park. It's going to take me half an hour instead of probably take exactly the same amount of time in the car anyway. So I went through the park to do that. that. And the only thing I do on a daily basis, not to show off, but just because I'm constantly baffled as to why nobody else does, is if I see an escalator, I see it as an incitement to get somewhere faster, i.e., I walk up it.
Walk up it,
I don't
exactly.
understand why people just stand on
No,
them.
nor do I. And even if that is your general lifestyle and that's all you've got time to walk up that escalator, exactly the same. It elevates your heart rate, using your muscles more effectively, and you're getting a bit more exercise than you would if you just stood there. I do think that people think they uh, eat better than they do, walk more steps than they do, are more active than they ever are. And it's funny because the NHS recommendations for us as a healthy to be healthier in a nation is 150 minutes a week. That's 2 hours and 30. But actually, the research is saying we're only doing an hour and 20 minutes in a week, which breaks down to 11 minutes a day. If you think about 11 minutes a day and you think you are more active than that, it's not a lot, is it? You know what I mean? But you could make that 11 minutes really effective. So being higher intensity, walking and climbing up the stairs instead of just walking to the escalator and then staying on the escalator and then walking off it. There are little things, because my main part in all of this and why I'm so passionate about it is I know my mental health is absolutely uh, kind of has an impact on my mental health if I don't move my body more. If I've had a couple of days where I just think I'm so busy, I'm traveling all over the place, I've hardly done any steps, and I sit there and I feel all lethargic, haven't got the energy, no motivation to do anything anyway because I'm so knackered. And then I think, oh, like I know that moving makes me feel better. So the third day, I've already planned in my head, right, on that day I'm going for a run because I know how good it is for me. But being back in this world where, I'm not an elite athlete anymore, there's so many effects on my body, both physically and mentally, that I've had over those years, that I'm just more conscious about myself. And I think that our health and well-being is non-negotiable. It's too late to say if only I'd become more fitter and active and more healthier when later in life you are getting weaker, you're having more illnesses and you don't feel good about yourself. That's too late. So why don't you think about it now? You know
But
what I
you'll
mean?
know better than anyone that one of the issues with mental health is that it makes you feel lethargic. It makes you feel that things are pointless. What are the things that you think people could actually employ to get themselves out of that frame of mind? I mean, you've had mental health
Mhm.
struggles yourself. I'm sure you've had maybe longer than a couple of days where you just thought, what's the point of doing anything like that? And I think that's the sort of rut that a lot of people find themselves in, and it's really, really hard to step out of it, particularly if you've put on weight because of it and things like that. So everything feels more difficult.
For sure. And an example of that was this weekend. Like last week, I was so busy and I was getting stressed and I wasn't doing as much. And I consciously made a point on Saturday to message my friends that I've known for 42 years. I said, please, can you come out for a walk with me? Because I just needed to walk and talk. I really needed it. And these are friends that I've had for 42 years. We always stayed friends, but sometimes there's massive gaps. And I said, I just need to have friend time and movement at the same time. I didn't want to go for a run. They're not runners. They're not into fitness like me. And we met up and we parked purposely away from the town, went on a lovely walk. We had lunch. We had to then walk back to our cars. And do you know how good I felt that night? It was brilliant. It
Yeah, I
was
think
so
that's
lovely.
that's such a good point, because I think for a lot of people, in actually making an appointment with a friend, committing to something, even if it's an online class or something, making that commitment actually helps you get into a routine, doesn't it? Because I know personally, I'm completely pathetic if I leave it to my own motivation. I have no motivation. I mean, I really don't. Like the idea of going for a run on my own, I mean, it's complete anathema. Sorry to say it to you with all your medals for it, but I just never do it. But if someone says
No.
to me, like I set up a running group with school mums when my kids were younger, because I knew that if I said, okay, I'll meet you at 8:30 in the car park, that I'd do it.
Yeah, it is that commitment and it's a commitment to yourself as well. So yes, actually arranging something. It's same when I was an elite athlete, I had a schedule, 7-day plan. I knew what I was doing, AM and PM. It was brilliant. I loved it. After that, like it all went to pot because I'm having to think, and I can go in the gym. Believe me, I know exactly what I'm doing in the gym. But sometimes I go in the gym, I literally faff. But at least I've gone in the gym and I've done it and faff. That's fine. But I do think, like you say, having a routine, having structure, and for me, it's about could you do 5 minutes of something every day so it becomes a habit and a commitment to
Mm,
yourself?
mm.
Can you come off your phone 5 minutes before you go to sleep? Because they're saying, I don't know, NHS says you've got to do 7 to 9 hours of sleep. I don't even 9 hours like a day to me. Like, I'm lucky if I get five, but the average is actually just under 6 hours of sleep. Well, sleep is meant to have a big impact on your well-being, your mental health, the way that you feel, your stress, anxiety, tiredness. And so actually, and I have this big habit. I think a lot of people do. You have your phone. I think I'll go and put my alarm on at night and really shouldn't have the phone by the bed probably anyway. And then I scroll. I've already gone to bed really late and I think, oh, 2 minutes, look on the Instagram. An hour later, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking, what have I done? Could have had that hour to get up earlier in the morning to do the exercise because I prefer to exercise in the morning because I hate leaving it to the
I
end when I'm
never do it at the end of the
and then
day.
no, and then I wake up absolutely shattered, and I just keep pressing snooze, and I've then wasted that time of training
And
because
then
I
and then you
haven't
probably
committed.
get a parcel turn
Yeah.
up the next day with something in it that you didn't really want to buy, but you just got enticed by while you were scrolling. Funnily enough, Mark's been
Exactly.
in touch, one of our listeners. He says, because I've been asking them to tell me the thing that they do that makes them feel good about themselves mentally or physically on a daily basis. We've had loads of people writing in, but Mark says, my telly broke, found I started reading more and sleeping better, only
Yeah.
use PC for the weather. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's true.
interesting. But listen, Kelly, like many people, I think,
Mm.
I was absolutely bowled over by your brilliant documentary Being Me, and just the way in which you were just so incredibly honest about the difficulties you'd had in coming out as a gay woman, and the difficulties that you'd had with your mental health, probably largely as a result of the fact that you were having to lead this, completely inauthentic life in a way, or at least a life where you weren't allowed to be the person that you knew you were. What was it? At what point did you suddenly find the courage to do that? What precipitated you making that documentary? What was the sort of moment where you thought, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm actually gonna I'm going to speak.
Um, it actually came in a really hard time. I had a massive breakdown because I just couldn't cope with how I was feeling, this internal and complete narrative about just wanting the freedom to breathe and be me and just to be happy. And I think lockdown brought a lot to us where you question a lot of things about yourself. And I'd got COVID, I wasn't well. And I had one night that it really got bad. And being somebody that's suffered mental health and self-harming, that it was kind of really touch and go. And I had the resolve and strength to keep myself sort of in bed rather than, kind of maybe what else could have happened. And I just knew I needed help. And I needed help because I couldn't get out the fact that I'm just not being able to be happy or to live the life that I want to lead. And, social and generational changes have obviously taught us a lot, but you have to remember the era and the fear that I had from being in the army. And so I just had to get over situations in my life. And it was for me, my mental health was suffering so badly because of all of this. I thought, I can't do this anymore. I have a right, like everybody else, to live their life. And I wasn't living. I
You,
was waking up every day, but not really living. And so I made that decision to change.
you talked in the documentary about your time in the army in the 80s and 90s. I mean, it seems completely implausible today, thank God,
Mm.
that there would be the same situation where you were literally where you could be arrested for being exposed as homosexual. Um, I wonder what you're feeling today is towards the army. I mean, you were made an honorary colonel with the Royal Armoured Corps in a corps in 2018, and obviously they've changed. Do you think the culture has changed enough? Do you think that the army's done enough to reconcile, its extremely anti-LGBTQ past?
Um, of course, yes, it's changed a lot. I've had this very complex relationship with the military because I loved serving. And, those people that kind of don't know the whole story say, well, oh, if you knew it was against the law, why'd you join? I didn't know I was gay before I joined the army. So that's my answer to that one. Um, secondly,
They
I
should have
wanted,
posters now saying,
yeah,
join the army, turn gay.
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's
That
like,
would show they'd changed.
yeah, but no, honestly, yeah, it's changed a lot. The ban was lifted in 2000. They have made a real fundamental policy and change, and especially in the army, they've got army LGBTQ plus network to support people. It's really, really changed, and I would actually say it's one of the best employees for diversity. Of course, like any institution, any organization, you're gonna get bad hats, you're gonna get people that cause problems and make that, go out their way to do it. But generally, as a industry and one that employs a lot of diversity, it is really, really good. And I'm proud to have served. I'm proud to be in the position I'm in now. And I've actually been helping lead the LGBT review with Lord Everton around looking into the mistreatment of LGBT plus veterans, and the announcement of what that review has found will be coming out in May. So hopefully people will look out for that. And that's just to really give back the recognition and some recompense to those people that still walk in our streets today, that served under their country, that are proud to have, at the time, obviously it was the Queen, pledge allegiance to the Queen. Those people deserve to have that recognition of what they went through, because, we did what we had to do to be in the army, but at the end of the day, we're all human beings and we live the life we do because of who we are.
And
And
Kelly, it's not just the army, though, is it? I mean, sports is still a pretty homophobic arena in many ways, don't you think? I mean, particularly when you look at football, for example. I mean, I know that's an easy target, but things need to change in other areas too, no?
Yeah, I mean, of course, like in loads of areas, and we're at a time now where, of course, it's changing and time changes things. In sport, there's dramatic changes, I'd say, for female sport. I mean, I couldn't even comprehend what everyone's like now, just living their life who they want to be. I mean, look at the lionesses,
Yeah.
complete champions and role models and strong females with purpose and in their body form, and they just live their life, and they don't see how anyone couldn't. Yes, of course, for male sports, there's a little bit of that male bravado. It is harder for them, and you cannot tell me that there isn't anybody in male sport that isn't possibly identifying in the LGBTQ plus community. They're just fearful, and only when we stop the bigotry and the homophobia and the sexism and the misogyny in any part of the world will we make those changes. But the more we talk about it and the more people get the chance to talk authentically open about how it affects life.
Mm.
We're talking about people's lives.
How
We all
d-
have a right to walk this street next side by side, and if you're a decent human being, let people be who they want to be.
how different do you feel now,
Yeah.
having been honest about your own life in your documentary a year ago, but also conversely, how resentful do you feel about the 30 years where you felt compelled to keep your sexuality secret
I don't feel resentful. It was just part
at
of my
all?
journey. No, it's taught me a lot. I mean, obviously, anyone would wish it was different, but it wasn't. And if I just if I go back to, I wish it was this and this and this, then again, I'm not going to live my life, am I?
Mm.
What I'm really happy about, I'm happy. I'm happy for literally the first time ever where I can truly be who I want to be. I can talk openly, authentically, but also now with change and things, hopefully I can educate myself, I can form myself, learn a lot, and then pass it on. And that's what's really important.
Dame Kelly Holmes, thank you so much for talking to me today. I really enjoyed talking to you, and her campaign, Find Five, is well worth looking up.